Welcome back to another YouTuber thumbnail tutorial featuring the GOAT. In today's video, I'm going to show all of you venerable viewers how SUCHSPEED makes his own thumbnails for his videos, since you've all been dying to see a tutorial for him. Also, we're bringing back the good old feature comments, since all of your kind words in the comment section deserve all the recognition. As you should know by now, if you want more tutorial videos, and if you want to have a chance of being featured at the start of the video, like the video for more tutorials, subscribe for weekly uploads, and follow me on Twitter and show me your Photoshop skills. Now kick back, relax, and enjoy the footage. See you later. So the first thing we want to do is open up Minecraft, which I already have open, and I have the custom NPC preloaded and everything with the skin in the right pose. So let me just show you guys what I use. So in the name, obviously, the texture is just the skin of the Ash character from Pokemon, which is in this thumbnail that SUCHSPEED made. The URL will be in the description, or you can copy it for yourself right now if you pause the video. I just use a black cape, which you can select from here. I just went here, select the Ender Dragon because it's black, and that's basically it for what it did. And you can hit that when you got the right cape that you want. Now we go over to AI. We're gonna go to edit and just copy down everything you see here. In this case, the rotation doesn't matter because he's not in front of any background whatsoever. We have an iron sword, simple iron sword in his slot in his personal inventory. Now we go to the advanced tab. Make sure you set this to puppet by clicking this arrow 4 times when you first appear in this tab. And we're gonna hit edit. And let me just show you guys all of the scalings for each body part. The head, just copy down everything you see here, as well as the other body parts. Left leg, and finally the right leg. And just pause the video for each of those and just copy down what you see and you're good. And once you're done, you can hit F1, hit F2, take your screenshot, you're done. Take multiple ones so that you don't have to go between Minecraft and Photoshop over and over again because you made a mistake. I'm just gonna risk it and only take one screenshot, which I already have already. The next thing you're gonna do is go into your options, controls, and just take a screenshot of all of the controls. It doesn't have to be everything, so you don't have to take a scroll screenshot or whatever they call it. Just take these. Take these. And what I like to use is an app called Lightshot. It's a screenshot app, but it's different from the regular screenshot. You can actually take the specific dimensions or portion of what's on screen instead of the whole thing. So when you hit print screen, this thing pops up, the screen becomes faded, and then you can just drag across and the area that you want to screenshot is highlighted, and I really like it. The link to Lightshot will be in the description below. And the last screenshot we need is actually just the background or the screenshot of the arena from the duels map on Hypixel. It can be any part of the map that you want. It doesn't matter. You can just die, go into spectator mode, take a screenshot before the new game starts, and then you're done. Now you can minimize your Minecraft, and we can head into Photoshop. Now we're gonna go into File, New. Set the title to tutorial 17. So we're gonna go document type. I have a preset set to thumbnail. You guys can set a preset for yourself, and it's 1920 by 1080p. If the file size is too large, just leave it at 1280 by 720. It's not really a large difference, but I just like keeping it at 1920 by 1080. That's just my preference. And then you can go ahead and hit OK. Now let's get our screenshot, the screenshot of the duels map. I'm going to scroll down all the way here. Look at all these screenshots that I have. I really need to get rid of some of them, but that'll be for later. So we got the duels background. Now you might have noticed this from before. When you go into duels and then it's like this wall that surrounds you, this is what it is. And yeah, it's not anything special. Don't have to go out of your way. So we're going to hold Shift and Alt, and then drag from one corner. When you hold shift along with the, no, when you hold alt along with the shift, that enlarges the image from the center instead of from one corner. And we're gonna get our second screenshot, which is the screenshot of our NPC. We're gonna click, drag him over here, and then we don't have to worry about enlarging him yet. So just hit enter. We're gonna right click this layer, and we're gonna rasterize it so that now we can actually edit this image. So we're gonna use a pen tool. I've recently gotten into using the pen tool. We're gonna hold alt and scroll up to zoom in, because instead of leaving a castaway line to show where your screenshot or tracing is going, like the polygon lasso tool, it just shows you the point, and when you make another point, that's when the line appears, so that's easier for you to see. And since this is Minecraft, it makes it a whole lot of easier because there's no curves, just sharp edges and blocks. So we're just gonna trace over the sky, and we make the connection over here. I will get back to you guys in a second. Last joint to join everything together. Boom. All right, now we can zoom out and right click him, make the selection. We're going to set the feather to 1.5. 1.5 is a decent amount. We're going to hit OK, and we're going to Control X to cut him and Control V to paste him. And now we can make this layer disappear. And now we just got this guy. Now we can drag him over here. Just chilling over here. And we're going to make him a little bit larger. Hit Control T. Just drag him up. For now, we're just going to fill him up to almost the height of the thumbnail itself. Now the next thing we're going to do is duplicate him. So make it sure he is selected and hit Control J. And we're gonna take this duplication, drag it up underneath, and we're just gonna move it over here. Just hold shift and use the arrow keys, move from left and right, and we're gonna move him over here. We're gonna make him invisible for now though, just for now. So we're gonna hit Control T again, just move him over here, hold shift, no, actually do not hold shift, and we're just going to tilt him a little, rotate him a little, not too much though, and just bring him down lower, just a little bit low, and hit enter. I might adjust this later on because I'm just that guy. I'm a perfectionist. Now we're gonna double click him, and we're gonna give him some effects. All we gotta do is give him a stroke and an inner glow, and that's pretty much it. Maybe a drop shadow. So just go click the stroke, and that looks like a pretty good size actually. Yeah, I'm quite okay with that. So set the size to like 13, and the inner glow is going to be white. So make sure the color is set to white. It should be set to white by default. I'm gonna hit OK. I'm gonna reduce the opacity. Yeah, because we don't want the inner glow. This looks quite nice, but for accuracy, we're just gonna set the opacity to what it's usually at by default, which is in like the 40s, the low 40s, and size is okay at around 20-ish. Finally, we're gonna give it the drop shadow. Just some drop shadow. Let me just make the adjustments, reduce the spread, or actually increase the size, maybe lower the spread a little. Okay, and we can hit OK once we're done with that. Awesome. Now we're going to get the screenshot of the controls that we got earlier. Alright, so I have dragged in the screenshot of the controls. Now, of course, we're going to enlarge it. Hold shift and drag from one corner so you know the deal. And we're just going to tilt it, I believe, this way. pretty sure it's this way. So tilt it to the right, or rotate it to the right, I should say. Make it a little bigger. We're actually going to drag this behind Ash. We're going to hit enter. Drag him behind. And we're also going to give this a stroke. So double click the control screenshot. And we're going to give it the stroke. I believe the stroke is the same amount. Now, actually, I'll make it a little bit larger for myself. I'm actually going to give it a drop shadow as well. I'm going to increase the spread for this drop shadow so that's more noticeable, though. Okay, so now the third thing we're going to do is add this fireball. And I got this fireball from a fire graphics pack that I just found online while doing my quote-unquote research for this video, and the link will be in the description to that graphics pack below. Shout out to the maker of that graphics pack. His name will also be in the description. So we just got this fireball, you know, I'm just gonna drag it in. Now notice how it is not transparent, it is just black, and I'm not sure why they do that. I guess it's to make sure that you are legit or have Photoshop or something. So we're just gonna drag it behind the everything else, but in front of the background. Now to make it so that it's just a fireball without using the magic wand tool, we just need to make sure it's selected, go over here where it says normal, it's actually drop down, and I believe you set it to lighten. Now you see nothing now, but we're just gonna hit Control T and make it larger. Now this is the only case where I will allow you to not hold shift while enlarging something to keep all the proportions. This is the only time, because it's just a little weird. So now we have this like fireball that appears behind the screenshot of the controls. I'm actually going to tilt this the other way so that we can see the fireball, or at least just a little bit of it, because we're not really seeing much of it. Okay, now let's go back, Control T the fireball, and we're gonna adjust it. Let me see if rotating this will work. I'm just playing around with it like right now on the fly. This was not premeditated or anything. I'm just trying to make this work. I just want people to know that there's fire like behind it. That is the main goal. And I'm trying my best. Hopefully you guys can do a better job. Alright, for now, it's gonna look like that. And I'm just going to move the controls over to the left. And now let's see if that works. Okay, we're seeing more of the fireball, but it's not identical to the one that was in SUCHSPEED's thumbnail, so it doesn't have like all the other flames like moving around. It only has like 3 flames, which are right here, and then the other ones that are on top. But that's okay, we just gotta make the most of what we have, am I right? Now the last thing we're going to do is get a screenshot from the Keystrokes mod. I didn't install the Keystrokes mod. Once again, I just got a screenshot from random guy's video, or just screenshot from Google. So I just got the WASD. I'm gonna drag it over here. Now you cannot see it, and it is quite small, so I'm just gonna enlarge that, and I'm just gonna drag it up top. Now we gotta do some things. We can't just have this blue just right in your face standing out in the thumbnail. So I'm gonna see, let me just rasterize layer first by right clicking and clicking rasterize. And now let's go to the magic wand tool and see what we can do. Alright, so for the most part it can erase the blue background. And what I'm actually gonna do, I'm actually not going to use the magic wand tool. Instead, I'm going to use the rectangular selection tool. We're gonna go here, and a little trick that I like to use sometimes is just select one and then hold shift. When you hold shift, it'll maintain the first selection so that you can keep going as many times as you like. Just keep on holding shift. When you release, and then you're all good. Actually messed up, so I gotta start all over again. That's the only downside. Alright, sweet. Now we can right click, select inverse, hit delete, and all we have are our 4 keys, W, A, S, and D. Now we can deselect everything, go back to the move tool, drag this over here, Control T, and we're gonna rotate it in the opposite direction of how we rotated the controls. Now we're gonna make it bigger. Just drag it all the way over here. Make it a little bigger again. Okay, yeah, there we go. Now we're gonna hit enter, double click, give it a stroke, drop shadow, boom, decrease the size of the stroke a little bit, just a little bit. That seems reasonable. Or maybe, yeah, there we go, 12. So set it to 12. Now we're just going to do something, and once again, this is just experimentation on the tutorial while I'm recording. I'm gonna try making this black, like the background behind the letters black, so that, you know, it suits or complements this screenshot right here. So I'm gonna go to brightness and contrast, and what I did before was reduce the brightness and then increase the contrast. Now that looks weird, but don't worry, we'll take care of that. Now this isn't the best way to do it because, you know, it's not fully black, but that's okay. Now, to make sure that it's only applied to the W, A, S, and D screenshot, we're gonna select both these, brightness, contrast, and the screenshot of that. And we're gonna hit Control E to combine the layers and the attributes of the brightness and contrast that we adjusted are only applied to W, A, S, and D, and not the rest of the thumbnail. And with that being said, let's add our final adjustments before we can call it a day on this thumbnail. So let's go to the adjustments tab, and we're gonna go to brightness and contrast. Now there is definitely a contrast. That's a common thing, a style that you will see in all PvP YouTubers, the contrast, and you can just tell. I don't know how to describe it, but you just look at the thumbnail and you can see that everything's like a little bit, the darks are darker and the brights have like this little darker tone, or they're a little grainy, and that's an intense contrast that the thumbnail maker has added. So I'm gonna set it to 63 because that's looking good. I'm not sure about the brightness. Alright, the brightness is looking okay. It's still optional. And you can go back to the adjustments. Hue saturation. I'm not sure if there's a hue or saturation added to this, but you can figure it out for yourselves. I'm not gonna try it now. Now back to the duplication of this guy. I'm actually going to drag it behind the screenshot, and I'm gonna try to do what he did and put a sword. Like he had this sword behind Ash for some reason. I do not know why, but we're gonna try our best. Hit Control T and rotate it a little bit. Okay, and boom. Now we didn't add any special effects to it or anything. Now we're going to blur the duels background. So we're going to select the duels background. We're going to go to filter, blur, and this time it's just a basic Gaussian blur, one of my favorite blurs. And the radius is too much right now, so we're going to reduce it significantly. And 4 is actually looking pretty good. So set the blur to 4, hit OK. Now I'm actually going to try to blur the copy, just the sword, because you can see the jagged edges, and we really do not want that. So we're going to select this. Make sure you have it selected. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Okay, not bad, not bad. But just reduce the blur just a little bit. Or better yet, let's give it a motion blur. That would look even better. It's not what he used, but in this case, that's what we're going to have to do. Yeah, that looks very good. Or maybe he did use some motion blur. Alright. It doesn't have to be too intense, just to the point so that we don't see the mistakes that we made when we were cutting out the character. Alright. I think I'm going to leave it at 30. Yeah, 30. And we're going to hit OK. Now that looks exceptional. We'll just make one final adjustment. and rotate this a little. Okay, and I think it's safe to say that we are done with this thumbnail, SUCHSPEED's thumbnail style, and just some background. This thumbnail was like a challenge for SUCHSPEED. He was doing a controls challenge for another YouTuber who has outrageous controls. You can see that I didn't change the controls to correspond to that because I wasn't trying to be too accurate. Again, this is just for demonstration. So I hope that this helped you. And you know, you're free to use this fireball or the fire or anything else from that graphics pack because it is there to enhance or give you extra images to use for your thumbnails, and I'm going to start using that as well. Thank you all so much for watching this thumbnail tutorial. As always, make sure you leave a like on the video, comment any feedback, and subscribe for more thumbnail tutorials in the future. This was awesome. I really like the end product, and I will check you guys out later in the next thumbnail tutorial. Peace out.
Lost my way with nothing gained. I've been singing songs and I've been working hard, trying to catch a shooting star, but everything is foreign here, clouded up and full of fear.